Welcome back to another episode of Fabric Garage. So this is going to be part 2 of the supercharger install on the 93 Foxbody. So let me turn the camera around and I'll show you how far I've gotten. Look at that. That just looks so cool under the hood. When you open the hood and you see that, that's awesome. So we left off yesterday with just the plates, everything bolted up, tensioner. This morning I came in and I put the belt on for just a regular accessory. So I put a brand new belt. The kit tells you to reuse your factory belt. Well, if you go online, there's like 6 different belts for this car. There's like factory AC, dealer installed AC, no power steering. So I don't know how they can tell you use your factory belt because they don't know what options you have. But either way, the factory belt that came out of this car, which was all dry rotted, does not fit. It was about 2 inches too short. So as you can see here, it was all destroyed. So what I ended up having to do was cut this, route the belt how they want you to route it. And then I had the 2 ends right here. I was holding both ends, and then basically there was about a 2-inch gap. So I measured that gap between the 2 ends, and I ordered a special length belt, which is a 6PK 2350 in this case. So I went this morning, got the belt. It's perfect. It clears everything. The tensioner is right about 50% tensioned, which is perfect. You don't want to have the tensioner all the way up because it'll put a lot of pressure on the belt. So right in the middle like this is perfect. So I put a little decal here just so in the future the belt falls off or wears out and you can't read the numbers anymore. There's a decal here so you know what you're about to get. Or so my buddy knows what you're about to get because I ain't gonna remember. But after that, I started the car, make sure the belt's not gonna fall off due to any alignment. I did double check the alignment and the belt was good, so I started it up, let it idle for a couple seconds, shut it off, and the belt was perfectly straight, so that's awesome. Then next thing I did was take the supercharger. There's an oil line, an oil drain line that goes bolts to the bottom of the supercharger. I ran that down near the oil pan. So, and then the supercharger just drops in and then it gets bolted by 5 bolts on the front, which that's what I'm doing now. So I have a couple here and one there. These don't have lock washers, so I am putting blue Loctite on the tip just to make sure this thing don't come loose or unbolted. So as you see right now, it's loose because I'm still bolting it down. So once I have Loctite on all 5, I'll snug all 5 and that'll stay there. And then as you can see here, the belt, the supercharger belt will go here, and there's a tensioner that bolts up to the front here to add tension to the belt to tension it down so it doesn't hit the water pump pulley. So it's getting there. As you see here, I have the factory pipe with the mass airflow hooked up just so I could start it and idle. But we're not going to be reusing this. There's all different pipes we're going to be putting on. But yeah, so far it's coming along awesome. So I'm going to bolt the supercharger down. These already come full of oil, but you do have to remove this plug here and add let me see if I can find it right here. They send you these here. You got to remove this plug and add this. This is a breather, so see the little hole there? So this is basically open. It'll breathe through the little hole there. And then if you want to do an oil change, you have to change the oil inside of here for the first time at 2,500 miles, and then I believe every 7,500 miles. Let me see. Yeah, every 7,500 miles you got to change the oil. And they do send you some oil. It says 4 ounces every oil change. So it doesn't say how many ounces this is, but I'm assuming this is maybe 4 ounces, so maybe 3 oil changes. So, but yeah, it says right on that tag, these come full, don't add oil, just remove the plug. And then this here's a dipstick. So if you unscrew that, it'll be a little dipstick. It says check the oil. So before I actually run it with the belt, I am gonna check the oil, make sure the oil is full because it should be pre-filled from factory when new. And then once this is fully bolted down, oil's checked, everything is good, then I'm gonna start the plumbing I'm gonna install the throttle body and then start the plumbing for the boost pipe. And then right here is gonna be pretty tight. this stupid AC line is in the way. So I have to make sure that 90-degree pipe they send with the kit. Let's see if so they send you a 90-degree pipe with the kit to go on the back of the turbo. I have to figure out how that goes. They don't have any pictures of this thing installed, but supposedly it does a 45 or a 90. And then it goes here, and then the filter and the mass airflow. I'm not sure. Like I said, the manual for this kit is awful. But luckily, I can figure shit like that out. So we'll play it by ear. After that, you have to do the reroute for your cooling pipe. So I'm gonna reroute this, hopefully do a 90 here and go straight here. I'll show you guys as I go along, but let me get this bolted down and then I'll show you the next step. As you can see, today is about 39 degrees and the shop is about 65, maybe like 63. So it's like perfect working conditions for me. I got my waste oil heater going. This thing is sizzling. The stove is right about 800 degrees. The chimney is right about 450. That thing is cooking. Nice heat, basically for free. So the last update that I did to this thing is I ran the feed line on top of the stove, so that way the heat that's rising from the stove would actually keep this line warm, which makes the oil travel nice and smooth. So yeah, this thing's awesome. I just figured for those of you that have been following the waste oil heater videos, there's a quick little update. That's as much as I'll do this year. If I can focus here. Hello. There we are. Good morning. So this is as much as I'll do this year, because right now it's getting warmer here. I did start putting the plastic on the ceiling. Like I mentioned, I'm going to do the whole ceiling plastic. And that'll also help me in the summer, keeping the shop a little more cooler. So, but yeah, let's get back to the Mustang. Okay, so I have the regular belt on, as you guys can see. Supercharger belt is on. I have the tensioner here, fully tensioned. So everything looks good. I did the cooling system reroute. As you can see here, there's about good 1/4 inch gap between that and the pulley. So that's how they want you to do it. So that looks good. So I did check the oil. Like I said, this bottom plug here, you undo it, is an actual dipstick. They say check the oil level. This was a little above the middle, so I added a little bit to make it like 3/4 of the way. Put the breather on here, and then the oil lines ran, so this is ready to go. Now I'm gonna start working on the throttle body, and once the throttle body is in, you reuse the same idle control and the same throttle position sensor. Once the throttle body is in, then I'm gonna plumb the boost pipe, and then I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna do the 90-degree intake pipe with the mass airflow and stuff. I might have to move this box again. I'm hoping not, but we'll get there when we get there. But it's looking better. And then the last thing, once this is running and driving, I'm gonna paint the intake gloss black. Nothing crazy, just to make it look presentable under the hood. I already took that plate off, sandblasted it, and I already painted it black. So I'm gonna do the latter with orange paint. So I'll show you guys the end product, but let's get this thing going. All right, so I got a lot of it done. I got the intake with the mass airflow here. Barely fits. With the AC lines, this elbow here barely fits. I got the intake painted gloss black, and I did a 5.0 HO in orange because the car is orange. Again, just to make it look decent under the hood. Nothing crazy. Cleaned up everything under here. I still have to fill the cooling system up. So now I'm gonna, oh, by the way, I could not use that aftermarket throttle body because I will have to remove the block and the throttle body, because this has a coolant passage in it that the aftermarket throttle body wouldn't seal against. But if I did put that aftermarket throttle body in, then the charge pipe is here. the charge pipe that comes with the kit wouldn't be able to reach because it would be like right about here. So it wouldn't work with this kit. So I have to find, I have to tell my buddy to buy a replacement for a stock throttle body, basically just this front half here, or maybe a spacer. I'm gonna have him research, but I told him this is not gonna work for this setup. Like I said, this kit is made for a bone stock Mustang, so obviously I was gonna try and make that work, but it didn't work out. But anyway, everything else worked out good. I don't like the fact that this is just sitting here. I am gonna make a bracket that bolts here and then comes down and then bolts here to hold the mass airflow in place. So again, something they should have sent me with it. I am not a fan of these flexible hose things. They could have just made a plastic freaking U, but they sent me this, especially with a mass airflow. I don't believe this seals 100%, but I'm putting on what I got, you know, what they sent with the kit. So now I'm just gonna clamp up this, put it here, and then just gonna double check on my work, and this should be able to fire up and see if the idle's good and everything is good, if the supercharger sounds good, and then probably gonna button it all up and go for a ride and see how this thing feels. All right, looks like we are done. The only thing I still have to do is fill up the radiator and bleed the cooling system with the cone. But other than that, everything is installed. Charge pipe. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of these flexible things, but especially with a mass airflow. I don't see how this can seal 100%, because anything after the mass airflow has to be perfectly sealed. But if they sell it, it must be good, I guess. I made that bracket there. It's floating, so it's not touching the box. That way it'll hold it in place, and the engine can move with the supercharger, and that flex hose will take the movement. Other than that, it looks pretty cool though, I'm not gonna lie. Quality, this is a quality product. Fitment, not that great. There's a lot of little things that doesn't really fit right, and you have to kind of force it in. They advertise it as this fits a car with AC, which this one does have AC, but I mean the AC lines are jammed in there. This thing, like the charge pipes and stuff, they barely fit. So I wouldn't say like, yeah, fitment was great or anything. Installation manual, absolute trash. Almost as useless as you just going on Google and Googling it. But, you know, it is what it is. Other than that, everything's installed. I'm going to set up the camera on a tripod, and we'll do a first fire up, let it idle. And then I'm just going to check around for any leaks or any vacuum lines or anything, and, you know, make sure it runs good. I cleaned the throttle body that was all gummed up, so stock throttle body, never been cleaned that just to make sure that idle's nice. So we'll start her up, and we'll see how she sounds. All right, so we're ready to start her up. The cooling system's still empty, so I'm gonna start it just to make sure she starts and runs and idles. Keep in mind, this is gonna smoke. There's spray paint, and when I took out the throttle body, coolant fell on the exhaust manifold. So when I start it, it's gonna be a smoke. There's a lot of fresh parts in here that are coated with oil. When they start to heat up, they'll smoke. It's nothing to be alarmed of. Happens every time. So yeah, let's fire her up. If she fires up and idles good, then I'm gonna wait a couple seconds inside the car to make sure the AFR stays, you know, around 14.7. And then if it does, then I'm gonna shut it off, fill the whole cooling system with coolant, and then I'm gonna move the car outside so that the cooling system can bleed properly and burp out all the air. And if it does spill some, it won't spill all over the shop. So let's fire her up. All right, so she fired right up. The AFR, the sensor heated up. It takes only about 3 or 4 seconds. And the reading came up. It was between 14 and 14.7. It's usually a little on the rich side when the car starts. But it's idling good. So I'm gonna fill up the cooling system and I'm gonna back it out of the shop, let the air bleed out, and then I'll make a video of going for a ride. And hopefully I can get the footage of the AFR when I'm under load to see if I'm running rich or lean, and if the FMU that they sent us is enough.